The first week of school had barely begun when the courtyard witnessed a moment that would be remembered for years. A crowd formed around the fountain under the bright daytime sky, where the sun reflected on the silver streams of water, and in the middle of it stood a new girl named Marvina Hale, drenched from head to toe. A group of bullies had sprayed her with a garden hose as laughter echoed against the walls of the school. It wasn't just the water that soaked her, it was humiliation dripping down her dignity. Everyone watched, frozen, expecting her to run away or cry. But Marvina didn't move. Her eyes were steady, her jaw firm. Then, with boots soaked and hair plastered to her forehead, she stepped forward toward the ringleader, a tall boy named Jarvis who ruled the school like it belonged to him, and what happened next shattered his ego in a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of the human spirit, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kind Life Stories. The school had always been divided between the strong and the silent. Jarvis was the kind who never earned respect, but demanded it through fear. He led a group who adored the feeling of power. They waited for the first sign of weakness, and with the arrival of a quiet girl from another city, they found a new target. Marvina came to school with a single backpack and a story nobody knew, walking the hallways like she was floating through another world. Her silence made her mysterious, and the flashing glances toward her only grew. She rarely spoke except when teachers called her name, and even then her voice was soft, controlled, almost tired. No one guessed she carried a mountain behind that silence, one that had shaped her into something unbreakable. It happened during lunch break, when the courtyard was full. A few boys dragged a hose from the maintenance shed, laughing wildly. Jarvis smirked at the sight of Marvina reading under the tree by the fountain. Without warning, cold water blasted into her face, knocking her book to the wet tiles. The laughter rose and students gathered with their phones, capturing her humiliation. It should have broken her, but instead the water washed something else away. Her patience, her silence, her willingness to be ignored. Marvina slowly stood, lifted her head, and looked directly into Jarvis's eyes. Her stare wasn't angry. It was calmer than anyone expected, almost frightening in how unshakable it looked. Jarvis took a step closer, expecting a breakdown. Instead, Marvina took a breath, measured him, and in a swift, precise movement, delivered a kick that sent him to the ground faster than the laughter could stop. The courtyard fell silent in one heartbeat. It wasn't just a physical kick, it was a symbolic one. She stood over him, not boasting, not threatening, but simply reclaiming the dignity he tried to steal. The teachers rushed in, crowds scattered, consequences fell on both of them. Jarvis for the bullying, Marvina for fighting. The school rules didn't bend for bravery or pain, but everyone knew something irreversible had changed that day. For the first time, Jarvis felt small. And for the first time, the students saw that silence could be stronger than noise. The story didn't end there. The days that followed revealed a deeper truth behind Marvina's strength. She didn't come from a peaceful life. Back in her hometown, she lived with her grandmother after losing her parents in an accident. The world had taken so much, so early, that she learned to build walls where tears used to fall. Her grandmother, a gentle woman with hands full of warmth, taught her resilience through discipline. Instead of letting pain crack her, she guided Marvina into martial arts to survive the weight of grief. Every punch was a release, every controlled breath a lesson in patience. When she arrived in this new school, she wasn't looking for trouble. She was looking for peace. But peace isn't always granted. It must be earned or defended. Meanwhile, Jarvis struggled with the collapse of his image. He had always been the strongest one in school. But strength without kindness is fragile. His friends avoided him after the incident, embarrassed by their own cruelty. The videos spread across the halls not because people wanted to mock him, but because the moment symbolized something rare. A bully met someone stronger in spirit. Jarvis stopped coming to the courtyard. He sat alone in the cafeteria, lost in thoughts he never allowed before. He wasn't hated, he was defeated by himself. Teachers scheduled sessions for both of them, not to punish, but to understand. Marvina spoke little, but when she did, the counselors saw the weight she carried quietly. Jarvis struggled with emotions he always buried under arrogance. Days passed into weeks. The bright daytime sky over the courtyard became calmer. and slowly a transformation occurred. Jarvis began to apologize, not publicly, but quietly to those he hurt. The first apology was to Marvina. He walked to her under the same tree by the fountain, shaking slightly. She listened without pride, without anger. She nodded once, accepting his words. No handshake, no dramatic moment, just forgiveness that felt clean. That small moment became the foundation of something unexpected, a friendship built on honesty. Marvina didn't start talking more, but people began understanding her without words. Students who once recorded her humiliation now sat beside her during lunch. Jarvis helped the janitor fix broken tiles near the fountain, feeling responsibility instead of shame. The same courtyard that witnessed cruelty now became a place of gentle change. The bright daytime air felt warm again. The transformation spread like soft sunlight. Someone who laughed at bullying stopped participating. Someone who ignored kindness began sharing small gestures. Marvina's kick didn't just break Jarvis's ego, it broke a cycle. Students started seeing power differently, not in dominance, but in compassion. Marvina continued training every morning before school, her movements precise, her spirit grounded. Jarvis joined her, awkwardly at first, learning discipline he never respected before. They didn't talk much, but their silence wasn't cold anymore. It was growth. By the end of the semester, the school felt different. The fountain no longer echoed with taunts. It reflected sunlight like hope. Marvina's presence changed the atmosphere, and Jarvis's transformation became the most surprising part. His laughter softened. His actions reflected humility. People didn't fear him anymore. They respected the person he was becoming. Marvina finally found peace in this new place. Not because it was peaceful when she arrived, but because she helped shape it into something better. And for the students watching from the sidelines, the lesson became clear. True strength is quiet, patient, and fierce only when necessary. The most powerful victories don't come from winning fights, but from breaking cycles of pain. Marvina taught that kindness could exist even after wounds, and Jarvis showed that mistakes don't define someone forever. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kind Life Stories to support more inspiring tales of change. Before the ending, here is a special request. Comment what lesson you took from Marvina and Jarvis, and how kindness changed your life. In the end, the courtyard became a symbol, proof that even in the brightest day, shadows can appear, but they can also fade. Marvina stood at the fountain one afternoon watching the water ripple toward the light. She wasn't the bullied new girl anymore. She was the girl who found strength through struggle and offered kindness where revenge could have lived. And Jarvis, now standing beside her as a friend, understood something he never believed before. Power is nothing without purpose, and ego means nothing when humility brings peace.